2024 has been an interesting year. I managed to find a little extra time at the workbench and complete on average about 2 model kits per month. These projects vary from the tiny 144th scale kits all the way up to one of my biggest models so far. So with all these builds under the belt, it's time to look back on the best 5 model kits I built this year. Hello everyone, I'm Matt and this is Model Minutes. Join me today as I explore the best 5 model kits that I experienced this year. As someone who makes reviews about model kits, I have compiled this list keeping in mind some of the following criteria. So first up, what is the quality of the product like? Is this a high quality moulding, or does it suffer from lots of flash and other imperfections? How old is the tooling of the kit? Some companies like to hide old toolings in new boxes, and this will be taken into consideration with the models treated appropriately. How well designed is the model, and do the parts fit together well, or does the model need a lot of work to make it look acceptable? Finally, how many marking schemes does the model come with, and are any included decals printed to a high quality? Of course, I can't just base my opinions on something without having also built it, so I will also be considering my own experience of the kit. How well did I manage to build it? Did I encounter any problems with the model, or did I make mistakes myself that could have affected the final outcome? Finally, and I think most importantly, did I have fun and enjoy building the model? After all, what is the point in a hobby if you don't enjoy it? All of these things have helped inform my experiences and choices over the last 12 months, and keeping these things in mind, I have curated the following list. Anyways, with that mentioned, let's get straight into number 5. The 5th position of the best kits I built this year is the Hella F84G Thunderjet in 1/72nd scale. This is actually a 1993 vintage model kit of a 1978 tooling. Despite this model kit being almost as old as me, everything inside the kit was still perfectly usable. The decals were not up to modern standards, but despite a small registration error, they were still perfectly usable. I was particularly impressed with the fit of the parts and the ease of assembly for a model of this vintage. I did finish this model in Tamiya lacquer paint for the silver, but I am a little disappointed I didn't modulate it a bit to try and add some variation to the metalwork. A kit of its age, this featured raised panel lines and isn't necessarily up to today's modern standards, but despite this, I had a lot of fun building this kit and would consider doing it again one day if I can find another example. Moving on to position number 4. This slot is taken by the Airfix BF109E4 in 1/72nd scale. Whilst this is not the first time I have built this model kit, and I doubt that it will be the last, it is though the first time I've done such a complicated paint scheme on a model kit like this. This is a 2012 tooling which was re-released in 2018 in the specific marking option you see here. Whilst the moulds have seen a bit of wear and tear over the years, resulting in a bit of flash and a few imperfections that need cleaning up, this kit does however feature the benefit of having flaps and landing gear in the raised or lowered position, an open or closed canopy option, and the inclusion of a pilot figure. I decided to finish this model in a very simple diorama with some Airfix vintage classic Luftwaffe personnel figures, just to make it look a little more visually interesting. I did enjoy building this model and trying my hand at a more complicated paint scheme, but definitely think I need more practice with mottling, as I feel I've not quite figured that technique out yet. Perhaps I will build more German aircraft in 2025 to further perfect this painting method. Sticking with the German theme, this brings us nicely onto position number 3, and in 3rd place is the Airfix Messerschmitt Me410 in 1/72nd scale. This was a surprise announcement for the end of 2023, and I built it very early in 2024, so one of the most recent toolings in this list. I found the design of the model to be very clever, with the majority of the parts fitting with no fuss or problems. It does have a slightly complicated canopy which comes in 3 parts, and I found the best thing to do with this was to glue it together to form a single component before masking and installing it onto the model. I did set myself a bit of a challenge when I built this model, and that was to see how well I could do the kit using exclusively Humbrol painting and weathering products. Sadly, some of these Humbrol paints that I have are older examples and suffered from being a bit grainy and less than ideal for this project. I did encounter a few other problems with the Humbrol products, and for full details, check out my dedicated build video on the kit, which would give you a bit more info. I did enjoy this kit and was impressed with it at the time, and I could see myself building this again in the future, when it is released with a new paint scheme of course. Before I get into the top 2 models that I built this year, I would like to take a moment for some honourable mentions. These are kits that have either impressed me with their design and construction, or generally I just really enjoyed building them. So the first honourable mention is the Airfix F35B Lightning II in 1/72 scale. This is another 2023 tooled kit, so another pretty recently released model that I was able to get onto my workbench. As it is designed as a starter kit, the model builds really easily and even has the option to have landing gear raised or lowered and be displayed in a flight pose or hover mode. The included shadow stand meant that I only really had one choice for mine of course, which was finishing it in a flight pose. I didn't build it as a starter set though, instead choosing to do it as a mojo build, assembling it as quickly as I could and simply spraying the overall paint coverage to make quick progress. If there was one thing I wasn't a fan of, it was the decals being quite small and fiddly, but that's only a minor problem and I think it does well as a starter set for new modelers to the hobby. Another honourable mention, well actually 2, are another couple of starter sets that I also built this year, the Airfix Sherman Firefly and Tiger 1 in 1/72 scale. These are slightly older, being 2020 toolings and releases, which I only just found time to get round to this year. Sadly, all the paint in my sets had dried out, a problem with the 2020 era acrylic paint pots, which I believe Humbrol have since rectified in later batches. This did mean that I had to complete mine in alternative paints, which was okay because I managed to find suitable colours in the stash. A couple of things I didn't like was that the Sherman features a slight inaccuracy with the hull machine gun being modelled, which in real life a Firefly variant would not have. Another small issue is the 2-part tracks on the Tiger causing a bit of a seam along the length of the model. But despite these, they were relatively easy to assemble and with a little weathering look quite good. I'm sure a couple more of these tanks will make their way across my workbench in the future. The final honourable mention I would like to make is the Beacon models Spitfire and BF109 in 144th scale. These models were tooled in 2021 and then released in 2022, but I only found time to have a go at them this year. I did try a pre-production sample of the BF109 some years ago, and I'm pleased to notice they addressed and fixed the problems I found in that one. It was my first experience of trying the Spitfire however, and it is a wonderful little kit to build. The kits feature high quality accessories such as cartograph decals and Pewit canopy masks, but sadly a little flash and a few moulding marks on the plastic were present on some parts in this kit. I really enjoyed building these little guys, and no doubt I'll be getting some more in the future. I think that will do for the honourable mentions though. There were so many fun kits that I built this year that we would be here for ages if I listed them all, so feel free to take a look back at my video uploads from this year to see some more of them. Moving on to position number 2, possibly the biggest project I have ever completed and something that I worked on over a few months, is the Airfix F6F5 Hellcat in 1/24th scale. This was a project that took quite a lot of my modelling skill, patience and motivation to complete. The design of the kit is very impressive, and with nearly 600 parts included, it builds up to a very realistic model straight out of the box. I did add copper wire to the engine, and used an Eduard canopy mask to make sure that I got the canopy completed as neatly as possible. For the most part I airbrushed this kit and did some pre-shading on the various panels to add some extra visual interest, whilst towards the end of the build I would add some subtle weathering to further enhance the look of the model. I would consider this to be pretty much an out-of-the-box kind of build, having not gone massively above and beyond too much, as many of the sub-assemblies of this kit could be treated as models in their own right, and if I focus too much on these areas I may not have completed this kit this year. On the whole, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I think it's one of my best looking builds so far in my time modelling. But sadly I couldn't bring myself to put this into the top spot in this video today. This is due to experiencing quite a few fit issues with the parts as I went through the build. As this is a 2019 tooling, whilst an impressive model, it doesn't benefit from Airfix's current level of finesse of part design, which meant that some of the parts were tight, left gaps, and could snowball into other areas of the build, causing further problems. I'm sure the lessons learned in the design of this kit help to inform their current design processes. I would like to build more large-scale kits like this next year, feeling as though I really achieved something with this model, but I suppose I will have to see what the next 12 months holds in store. And finally, this brings us to the number 1 slot in my best builds of 2024, and this goes to the Bandai BB-8 and R2-D2 droid kits in 1/12 scale. I haven't had much experience of building Bandai kits, but I think this was a proper introduction to this style of kit this year, and I would definitely be keen to try some more. So why does this kit deserve the top spot this year? Well, first up, the moulding of the kit was incredible, having a really good quality, moulded in colour, and even different colours on the same sprue. I know the tooling date of this kit is from around 2015, so I'm sure even more recent kits are going to be even more impressive. When I was building the kit, I didn't need to use any glue. Everything just snapped together, and no paint was really required either, as everything was already pretty much the right colour. You get the option of using either decals or stickers in this kit, and there are even build options and movable elements of the models when they are complete. I did add some weathering to the model and sadly found that the metallic silver plastic on R2-D2 cracked a little as it reacted to the dark wash I applied, but that is something I will have to be aware of in the future if I build some more Bandai kits. I guess to get some of the colours of the plastic right means they are a little softer or likely to react with certain chemicals or solvents. Despite this, the problem isn't very noticeable, and I wonder which Bandai kits I should look at getting in the future. And with that, I think it's time to conclude this list here. 2024 has been quite a busy year for me, not just at the workbench, but in other areas of my life as well. I'd like to thank everyone who has supported the channel this year, from my Model Club members here on YouTube and Patreon, to those who have supported the channel in other ways, and everyone who has watched, commented, liked and shared. I would like to welcome my latest members of the Model Club. They are Steele Smith, Julian Hall, Pebble24, Ron Swanson, The Budget Model Builder, Grim FPV, To Boldly Goes Model Works, Scabby the Crown Vic, Martin Halliwell, Phantom Plays, and Philip Jones. If you would like to come on this modelling journey with me and join our growing community, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a modelling video. Finally though, a massive thank you to you for watching this one. Let me know in the comments what your plans for modelling in 2025 are, and I will see you on the workbench again very soon.